7 reasons why you sneeze. Can the sun make you sneeze? Do you sneeze more often than your buddies? Are you prone to awful sneezing fits? Do you think that maybe you don't sneeze enough? Have you ever wondered why? Today, we're here to answer that question, the reason you might be sneezing. But first, here's something you shouldn't sneeze at, our channel. Why don't you hit subscribe and click the notification button so we can reveal all the mysteries of life to you. Seasonal allergies. Well, if you have seasonal allergies, you might already know why you're sneezing constantly. It's all that pollen in the air. But did you know that you can actually develop allergies later in life? That's right, if you suddenly experience coughing, red eyes, and sneezing, you might be developing what are called adult onset seasonal allergies. But why would you suddenly have allergies, we hear you ask? Well, a New Jersey allergist and spokesperson for the American College of Allergy, Asthma, and Immunology says that while we're born with a genetic predisposition to either have or not have certain allergies, the less you've been exposed to allergies as a kid, the more likely you may be to develop certain allergies as an adult. Environmental changes might be a factor as well. If you've recently moved to a place with higher temperatures and increased CO2 levels, that may have contributed to your allergies. Speaking of allergens, you might be exposed to new, different versions of them as you grow older. After all, you're sweeping up dust now, you're lying on pillows your mother hasn't washed, and you're scrubbing old, dirty bathtubs. But how can you know if you have adult onset seasonal allergies? Well, Clifford Bassett, MD, founder and medical director of Allergy and Asthma Care of New York, might have the answer. He says that many people with seasonal allergies have machine gun-style sneezing that can last for a long time. Remember those sneezing fits we talked about? Those might be because of your newly developed allergies. Sunlight. Have you ever looked up to the sky on a bright, sunny day, catch a glimpse of the sun, and sneezed? This sneezing phenomenon, aka sun sneezing or the achoo syndrome, is called the photic sneeze reflex. According to Medicine.net, the photic sneeze reflex is a disorder characterized by nearly uncontrollable sneezing provoked in a reflex fashion by the sudden exposure of a dark-apted subject to intensely bright light, usually to brilliant sunlight. About 17 to 35% of the population is affected by this reflex. Typically, when it happens, a person sneezes 2 or 3 times, but cases have been known to sneeze up to 40 times. Although there is no hard scientific evidence to explain this phenomenon, a hypothesis developed by psychiatrist Henry Everett in 1964 suggests that the reflex could be caused by nerve signals in the brain. According to the hypothesis, there are 2 reflexes which may play a role in sun sneezing. The first reflex, called the pupillary light reflex, controls bright light which enters the eyes. When bright lights enter the eyes, this reflex sends signals to the brain through the optic nerve. This returns signals back to the eyes which allow them to constrict the pupils. The second reflex is the sneeze reflex. This reflex identifies a tickle in the nose. The brain is alerted of the tickle, which results in a sneeze. For most people, these 2 separate reflexes, although very physically close to one another, do not cross. The hypothesis claims that for the sun sneezers, these reflex signals cross paths when exposed to bright light. A signal is sent to the brain to constrict the pupils when exposed to the bright light, but when the signal crosses paths with the sneeze reflex, a sneeze results. An alternative theory states that the medulla oblongata, the part of the brain which controls involuntary processes like sneezing, may cause this reflex. When the pupils are constricted from sunlight, the signals which flow to the brain could possibly get mixed up. If you've ever known anyone who sneezes in the sunlight, or if it has ever happened to you, you may now have an answer. You have a cold coming on. But it's not wintertime, we hear you say. Unless it is. We don't really know when you're watching this video. If it is, then you might just have a cold. It is one of the most common reasons people sneeze, after all. However, if it's not winter, then you might still have a cold. Turns out colds can pop up whenever and wherever. How can you get a cold in the middle of summer, though? Isn't the cold the reason you get, well, a cold? Very Well Health has an explanation for us. Colds are caused by viruses, not the weather, so they can occur at any time of the year. They are more common during the colder months because the virus is able to spread more easily in cold, dry air. People also tend to stay indoors more during the winter months, which means they may have more exposure to other people and their germs. But that doesn't mean they don't occur during the warmer months. The viruses that cause colds are always around. Here are some symptoms of the common cold, just so you're aware. Runny or stuffy nose, sore throat, cough, congestion, slight body aches or a mild headache, low-grade fever, generally feeling unwell, and, of course, sneezing. That sounds like a whole lot of allergies, we hear you cry. Well, there are a couple of distinguishers that separate a common cold from allergies. Well, you can tell if you have a summer cold if after 1 or 2 weeks your symptoms disappear. If not, then they're most likely due to allergies. Pay attention to your symptoms. We know, it's hard not to. If they start mild, worsen, then return to mild, then you most likely just had a cold and it ran its course. The symptoms will come at different times. If you have a cold, you'll experience your symptoms separately, as in you won't have a sore throat, cough, and sneezing fits together. Allergies, on the other hand, will hit you like an 18-wheeler, all at once. Symptoms will change if you travel. If you move a bunch and your symptoms suddenly disappear, then you probably have allergies brought on by your environment. You went from AC to hot weather. Turns out that a switch in temperature can cause you to sneeze, especially if the change is extreme. Enter the summer and winter months, where you go from your well-heated or cooled house into the real wrath of Mother Nature. Women's Health magazine describes it like this: "It's easy to suspect that you might have allergies if you start sneezing the second you step out. But if it stops after a minute or two, it may simply be because of the temperature change." You're around smokers. Do you find yourself hanging around with people that smoke cigarettes? Do you find that when you're around those aforementioned people, you sneeze a lot? Well, that could be because cigarette smoke is an irritant. While it's not an allergy per se, it can cause your nose to feel all funny. Wow, very scientific. But we have sources, trust us. The people at Discovery Health say that smoke has not been proven an allergen, but it is certainly an irritant, especially to people who are suffering from asthma or allergies. Cigarette smoke, both from smoking and from passive smoking, is known to increase the risk of allergies and asthma. Children are especially vulnerable. If you didn't need more reasons not to smoke, now you shouldn't even do it because it makes you sneeze. You have some issues with spices. This is especially something to consider if you find yourself in the kitchen and often your nose might be irritated by certain spices. Spices like pepper are especially bad. And Clifford Bassett even says that there are some who begin to sneeze with or after a meal, in particular, after eating a very spicy food. So if you sneeze while cooking, try to stay away from curry and pepper. You're allergic to pets. Specifically, you might be allergic to pet dander, especially if you were suddenly exposed to a strange dog or cat. Then, even if you didn't have those allergies as a kid, you might just have them as an adult. And pet dander can even cause sneezing fits. Yeesh! And so we conclude our video about sneezing. Did you find the answer to why you sneeze all the time? Or did we forget some of the most important reasons? In any case, let us know in the comments section below everything you know about sneezing. Enjoyed this video? Hit the like button and share with your friends. Also, subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. Thanks for watching.